The Avengers has already met with their matchups, but will their powers be enough to overwhelm the Ashen Combine? And we have not yet seen the true powers of the Impossible City. Inside the Impossible City, Captain America flies and passes through several seemingly empty buildings. He then reports to Black Panther that the city is empty, as he has not seen a single soul since they have arrived. Meanwhile, a dark monologue says it has been long since he saw heroes flying through his streets. The dark monologue continues, mentioning that the Ashen Combine has met and killed the previous heroes who entered their city. They have taken their colorful costumes as trophies and pinned them to his wall. He then sarcastically that it will be sad for the costumes of Black Panther and Captain America to join his war trophies. As Black Panther is busy installing devices that look like bombs, he acknowledges Captain America's finding, saying that the current enemies they are facing are predators who spread terror in the homes of their prey. But he then adds that he knows about it and wants their enemies to see their home burning up in re-entry. Although he is okay with Black Panther's plan, Captain America reminds him that once he finds an innocent life inside the city, their priority will be saving them first. The Wakandan king requests that Sam to not lecture him, even though he knows Captain America hates him and has a reason to, as he leaves after planting another bomb. Meanwhile, in the skies above the Vatican holy grounds, Thor is seen spinning around Mjolnir in his hand as he faces off with Idol Alabaster, who is now transformed into the form that makes beings below her worship her without question. The dark monologue continues as it mentions that Idol Alabaster is no mere god, as she will brook no competition for her constant desire of worship, and killing Thor will not be the first time that she had killed a god herself. Thor speaks to the villain while charging up Mjolnir on his left hand, boastfully saying that he will teach her how to become a god sarcastically. The first lesson he partakes is to smile as he flings Mjolnir to Alabaster's direction. However, the winged villain easily avoids the god of lightning's attack and offers him mercy, as she tells him that she longed and hungered for the taste of a god's adoration. She then swipes an attack, slashing Thor in the face, demanding her to worship her and he will live. However, Thor taunts back that he will never say that to her. As Alabaster flies away from Thor, who is after her, she proudly states that he cannot defeat her, as our worshippers below make her invincible. She then adds that every new worshipper strengthens her and spreads her influence. Thor prepares to strike her again and lets him do so, but the attack spreads to the people below on the holy grounds worshipping her, killing them. Alabaster then taunts Thor by saying he needs to kill every human under her influence and mockingly asks him if he can do that as a god himself. Meanwhile, as the Scarlet Witch is in Sydney, Wanda Maximoff is busy protecting the civilians who were not killed by the Dead's horde of corpses and skeletons. She orders them to go and get to safety as she creates a powerful force field around her and the evacuating civilians. The dark monologue continues as he points out that the Dead is an elemental and his sword doesn't negotiate nor threaten. They don't even speak. They just bring death, destruction, and ruin anywhere they go. As Scarlet Witch continues to stand against the undead horde, she orders the Dead to stop his attack and releases the soul he has controlled. However, the Dead did not speak and just look at her menacingly with an unblinking glare. Seeing that he won't stop, Wanda unleashes a pair of powerful tornadoes using her Darkhold powers as it rages towards the Dead and his horde. While under Wanda's attack, the Dead suddenly speaks, asking Wanda about ghosts and confirming if she knows them. Wanda hears the Dead speak, but not physically, but through her mind, instead telepathically. The Dead continues to speak as it tells the Scarlet Witch that there are ghosts of the dead and the living. It then taunts Wanda directly, saying the ghosts love to ruffle their chains after telling her she thought he was chained within her soul. Realizing who the voice was from, Wanda's eyes widen in shock and confused, calling out his name. In Toronto, Iron Man is at bay, evading City Smith's attack. At the same time, the villain continues cursing at him for hurting his sensitive feelings while using his powers to control vast amounts of debris to attack Iron Man. In typical Tony Stark fashion, he mockingly tells City Smith that he will find out how his translation works after beating him, commenting that his vocabulary is something else from non-Earthian like him. City Smith angrily answers back, saying that Iron Man and everyone else doesn't understand him as he continues to attack. A colossal arm of infused debris and rubble pops out of the ground, attempting to squash Iron Man in its palm. While avoiding the attack, Iron Man tells City Smith that he understands he is trashing his second favorite Canadian city while unsure of anything else. Then the alien villain starts boasting that his colleagues like to kill cities while having their obsession, and he is bringing liberation and inspiration to his eyes. He claims he takes the tired rubbish of the world to a struggling Tony. City Smith then added those rubbish is his art, as a gigantic worm-like being with its mouth wide open lunges at Iron Man, ready to eat him whole. The battle between Idol Alabaster and Thor continues, the latter being noticeably beaten up by his enemy, with scratches to his arm, his armor having minor damages, and his robe having holes and tears on it. The God of Thunder angrily charges at the god wannabe, cursing her for daring to call herself equal in disguise as him. The alien villain was shocked to learn Thor could also control the wind, as she was bound in the skies, as he mentioned that the hawk wings crown in his battle helmet weren't just for show. However, instead of panic and worry, a giant evil grin spreads across Alabaster's face as she mocks Thor for thinking that it was a stalemate for her, as she reminds him that the influence worshippers that Thor can kill can be used for her powers to kill a god like him. As soon as Alabaster reminds Thor of what she could do with the beings under her influence, she unleashes a barrage of beams attack that hit Thor like a truck in several parts of his body. The God of Thunder yells in pain as one of those attacks hit him in the face like a powerful punch, spilling blood from his mouth and knocking off his battle helmet. Back at Wanda's end, she is distraught and in denial that Shoton is speaking through the dead, as the villain continues to mock her telepathically, confusing her that he may be one of her fears that manifested, just like other ghosts. But then Shoton taunts Wanda, contradicting himself earlier and saying she has problems telling what is real. He then tempts the Scarlet Witch to destroy the Avengers, reminding her she knows she is the most powerful of them all, as she keeps fending off attacks from the Walking Dead. Then Shoton mocks Wanda by telling her she knows it already, whereas Wanda vehemently denies it. In her anger and rejection, Wanda blasted Shoton, who had circled her earlier, with a powerful Darkhold magic attack, but that did nothing as it harmlessly dispersed an illusion of what Wanda thought was Shoton, and she was grabbed from behind by many of the Walking Dead when her guard was down. Shoton, or seemingly the dead, mocks Wanda again, taunting her that it is so easy to make her lose her control, despite having all the power for herself. Meanwhile, Tony struggles to fend off City Smith's worm-like attacker as the blue alien villain continues to mock the superhero billionaire and mention his struggles are useless. He then says that Tony's flailing is making a good case for him, as he has never appreciated performance art before. Once caught inside the worm-like being's mouth, City Smith transformed it into a tower-like building, with Tony being captured and subdued inside it. City Smith tells Tony that he believes in stillness and says it takes skill for emotion to be only implied. He then mockingly thanks the trapped superhero inside his newest art creation. A horrifying scene of Tony being trapped inside an orange-shaped coffin, seemingly lifeless, with only his right hand and wrist poking out from that gadget. City Smith tells a trapped Tony that he has introduced him to an interesting thread in his work. Captain America can't help but be worried as he has not received any communication yet from their fellow Avengers when Black Panther answers him no after asking about it. The Wakandan king admits that he is also worried about the others, as Sam added that those enemies that manage to bother even Thor will be a problem for them. Meanwhile, a panel shows a grinning Idol Alabaster as she watches an unconscious beaten up Thor falling from the skies. The next to be shown in the pinch is the Scarlet Witch, as Wanda tries to fend off the undead, grabbing her violently. On the other side, it shows Iron Man trapped inside the gadget, now filled with water that City Smith made earlier. Meanwhile, in response to Sam's comment about Wanda, T'Challa admits he is more concerned about how the undead can stand against Wanda. He adds that she is the one giving him the pausing, clarifying to Sam he did not mean to offend. Sam scoffs at T'Challa, saying that he can tell if the Wakandan king is being offensive, adding a reminder that Wanda's portal will be their key in getting back home. Black Panther clicks his tongue at Captain America's remarks, saying that he always has a failsafe in place, to which the latter points out that smart guys like the former always do have one. Black Panther and Captain America check the detonators and timers of the bombs they have placed inside the enemy's space fortress, thinking that there are no civilians inside the colossal spacecraft. They were about to proceed with their plans when suddenly a voice speaks to them within the ship. The two are taken aback by the voice talking to them, saying that their assumption of no one being inside the ship is incorrect, as it proclaims itself to be one. He then mentions that it had a previous name once before being called the Impossible City and apologizes to both heroes as it declares that they will all die here. Obviously, Thor, Scarlet Witch, and Iron Man are no match for the Ashen combined. However, Vision and Captain Marvel's encounter is yet to be revealed. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out when episode 5 is released. Meanwhile, you can check out this video right here. This is Carl, and see you in the next one.